Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 16th edition of our Impulse Talks, coming to you from Paris. I'm Gabriel, a consultant at Impulse, and we're glad to have you with us today to talk about the Industry 4.0 and also our most recent innovation program addressing energy transition and sustainability. Just as a reminder, please turn off your microphone and cameras just to make sure that this session run as smoothly as possible. And for information, this session is also being recorded. So before introducing our speakers, let me just say a few words about Impulse Partners. We're a strategy and innovation firm on a mission to support an ecosystem of corporate startups and investors accelerate innovation in the supply chain, so energy, construction, and industry, among others. So we work with over 150 leading companies to help accelerate the innovation agenda in France, but also overseas. So on one hand, we offer advisory and strategy innovation and support, and also we deploy open innovation initiatives as well. And on the other hand, we'll talk about a bit more about it in a few minutes, but we gather a whole ecosystem through our corporate startup platforms. So speaking about these platforms, we design and operate over 18 theme-specific platforms through which we detect the most promising startups and connect them with corporates and investors. So today we've gathered over 1,000 startups through which we generated over 400 collaboration projects and 50 entrepreneurship projects. And within these innovation platforms, there's 4 specifically that address the challenge faced by the energy sectors, which is why we're here today. So, for instance, just to give you a glimpse of our labs, we have the Plant 4.0 that's for total energy that includes over 68 qualified startups that supports 5 major industrials in their transformation. And the same goals also apply for other labs. So we have Evolup, Industria, and Hydrogen, and that they gather startups, corporate investors around energy transitions topics. So for each lab, our added value at Impulse is really to monitor emerging challenge and bring new framework to support our client or partners' innovation agenda. So we also source qualified startups to encourage pilots, strategic partnerships, and investment opportunities. So it's really an opportunity for our corporate clients to share good practice, use case, and PUC feedbacks. So we're happy to have over 60 people representing over 17 different countries today. So thank you for being with us. Just to run you quickly through today's agenda, we'll begin with an introduction of our new initiative designed for leading energy players, followed by a presentation of Spark project by Wahil Selfo, and then Adrian Bird from Accenture will detail the service of the Spark Digital Center. And finally, Laurent will speak about TechipFMC's digital transformation strategy. And then we'll follow up with startups Distran and Skypull, who will address the digitization and energy transition challenge and presenting company in some relevant use cases. And then finally, we'll hear about Wahid Saudi Aramco Center with Ziad, investment manager at Saudi Aramco. For your information, each speaker gets about 8 minutes, plus a few minutes after each presentation for a quick Q&A. I'll jump in when time is out just to make sure that we stay within the time. And if you have any questions for our guests, please ask away in the chat and we'll address them after each speaker's talk. I'll also put my email in the chat, so if you want to be put in contact with any of the speakers today, let me know. So without further ado, I'll introduce you to Jérôme Pasquier, who's a partner at Impulse, and will present our new initiative for energy players.
Thank you, Gabriel. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm glad to be with you today to present a new program dedicated to foster creativity and explore sustainable transformation in the energy sector. So next slide, please. Industry and energy players are facing huge challenges, such as digitalization of their activities, energy transition, and decarbonation. As Gabriel just said, it is Impulse Partners' mission to accelerate innovation, to support industry transformation, and to act as a guide among the multiple technologies that are emerging. To go further, we are glad to announce a new initiative to accelerate innovation in the energy sector, the Spark Digital Center, a unique campus in the heart of the 21st century platform for the energy sector, a community of the world's best corporate groups who will set up sector-focused startups program within the Spark Digital Center. We are also very pleased that the first partners of this project are with us today. Wahil from Saudi Aramco will present you in more detail the project Spark, and Adrian from Accenture will explain the service of the Spark Digital Center. Next slide, please. To imagine and develop the Spark Digital Center, Impulse Partners is part of an experienced and complementary team. Accenture brings its skills and experience in running a network of innovation centers, working with major corporations, startups, and IR 4.0 suppliers. Indeed, Accenture is a leader in IR 4.0 technologies and how to apply this to provide value in the energy and manufacturing industries. Al Jazz Holding is a diversified Saudi Arabian company that will capitalize on its past experience in real estate development to design and construct a state-of-the-art center will be architectural flagship in the region. As for Impulse Partners, we will bring our skills and experience in bringing together a global ecosystem in energy and infrastructure. We manage more than 15 platforms, aiming to connect more than 150 corporate groups with more than 3,000 startups. We organize more than 80 events per year, connecting startups, corporate, public authorities, VCs, and CVCs. Impulse is a leading operator at Station F, also the world's biggest startups campus operating digital industry sectors. And finally, Spark will leverage Saudi Aramco pivotal role as the world's leading energy supplier. Saudi Aramco is establishing some of its key operating arms within Spark. Next slide, please. As you may have understood, the Digital Center will be a building in Spark dedicated to promote innovation and collaboration between industry peers. The operating model of Spark Digital Center is to invite the world's best corporate groups to set up sector-focused startups programs within the Digital Center. Among the targeted IR 4.0 sector, we can list cybersecurity, robotics, IoT, RR, VR, artificial intelligence, blockchain, and so on. Partners are invited to select a focused sector or to propose additional sector where they would like to operate a startup program. Now, let's take a look at the number and the goals of the Digital Center. As you have understood, the Digital Center will be materialized by a building with different spaces. 4,500 square meter space allocated for corporate partners startups program. Another space for startups, and the last one with light manufacturing labs like 3D printing, IoT, and so on. Within this space, there will be a premium amenities on conference, workshop, and event space. A first plan has been made on this slide, so you can imagine how it will look like. In a few figures, we wish to gather 15 corporate partners in this project and 75 startups companies and SMEs. It will also be a meeting place for venture capital firms and institutions. Next slide, please. You may have understood that the Spark Digital Center building will open in 2025. However, we don't want to wait until that date. That is why we are launching, as soon as in July this year, our new program to foster creativity and explore sustainable transformation in the energy sector with the creation of the community composed by the founder partners of the Spark Digital Center. This platform will be a unique ecosystem of industry peers, innovators, investors, and decision makers, aiming to develop the ecosystem before it settles in Spark Digital Center. So from July 2022, we will organize for the founder partners all the services listed on this slide, like demo days, pitch session, workshop, individual meetings to shape their future startup program, and so on. Next slide, please. Here you can see the future steps of the project. As I said, the program starts in 2022 via a virtual platform on events in order to prepare for physical installation in 2025. In March, June 2022, what we have started? We are discussing and selecting the 15 future program partners. In July 2022, it will be the official launch of the Spark Digital Center community. Then, in 2023 and 2024, the Digital Center will support the program partners to set up their startup program in Spark, startup scouting, pitch session, and so on. And from 2025, physical installation of the startups in the campus. It will be the official inaugural event with Saudi Aramco for the announcement for corporate partners programs. So if you are interested or have any question about the Spark Digital Center, feel free to reach me after this meeting. And while on Adrian will also give you more detail in a few minutes. Thank you for listening. And Gabriel, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jérôme, for the introduction. Let me just pass the mic now to Wahil Selfo, Project Management Officer for the Spark Digital Hub at Saudi Aramco. Hi, Wahil.
Hello, Gabriel. Thank you for that introduction. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. So thanks again for that introduction and for the opportunity to speak in today's session. I would also like to send a warm thank you to all those who are joining us today. I am very excited to be here to talk about the Digital Center project. But let me talk a little bit about the genesis of this project before we go into more details. Saudi Aramco, we embarked on our digital transformation program with value-driven objectives back in about 2017. Our vision was to be the world's leading digitalized energy company, maximizing shareholder value and spearheading digital innovation in energy globally. Our business objectives are improving our margin by leveraging intelligence to optimize operations, diversifying revenue by venturing and commercializing innovative solutions, and leading the industry in technology innovation by building partnerships with global digital hubs. We created a framework for our digital transformation program covering 6 flagship programs shown here on the screen. Digital projects that fall within the compliance program will help Aramco to ensure that it adheres to both external policies set by governments and global organizations and our own internal guidelines. Our sustainability efforts have had a major boost by big data, AI algorithms, and analytics, which are expected to make our operations even more productive and efficient. For example, at our Khurais plant, smart sensors and thermal cameras check for pipeline leaks automatically, leading to annual savings in fuel and a reduction in CO2 emissions. Within finance, a key digital project has been the creation of a data-driven digital bank that uses algorithms and machine learning to manage financial transactions with our partners and our affiliates. Blockchain and smart contracts have enabled our projects in our supply chain program to optimize use of inventories, supporting forecasting and delivery. In 2021, we launched the Procurement Supply Chain Control Tower, which was designed to unlock even more value from big data and provides end-to-end visibility on all of our operations with real-time and artificial intelligence solutions. With respect to the workforce, a major benefit of our transformation program has been to automate or find new ways to complete routine tasks, bring staff to do even more valuable work. One example is deployment of a new AR tool to locate, verify, and provide key information about computer assets within our IT corporate data center. And lastly, IR 4.0 technologies are transforming many aspects of our upstream and downstream operations. For example, one of our producing departments has invested in an industrial Wi-Fi infrastructure across its facilities. This infrastructure has enabled the deployment of IR 4.0 solutions, such as the use of wireless process and diagnostic sensors to make proactive and data-informed decisions. Thus, the idea for the Digital Hub was born, and in line with our corporate strategy and our drive for innovation in the energy sector. Thank you. Before I talk more about the Digital Center, I want to just talk briefly about the King Salman Energy Park, Spark, the project of where the Digital Center will be located. The King Salman Energy Park, also called Spark, is one of Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 flagship projects. It will support the kingdom's efforts in building a strong economy, which is one of the pillars, and one of the pillars is revenue diversification. At maturities, it is expected to contribute more than 6 billion to the kingdom's GDP and create up to 100,000 indirect and direct jobs. Spark is being developed as an industrial ecosystem to capture the full economic value from the energy value chain in Saudi Arabia and throughout the region. Our hub will become a 21st century platform for the energy sector, where its tenants and investors will grow and prosper in a vibrant international industrial community built on excellence and innovation. And if you are familiar with the eastern province of Saudi Arabia, the Spark is located approximately 60 kilometers south of Dammam and Khobar. Okay, next slide, thank you. The Digital Hub initiative was introduced in the 2018 ICTVA Forum as an effort to create an IR 4.0 industry within the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and increase local content in the digitization value chain. This is a strategic initiative led by Saudi Aramco to become the energy world's destination for manufacturing excellence, innovation, and entrepreneurial talent within the digitization space. The Digital Hub has several objectives, such as increasing manufacturing growth, deploying IR 4.0 solutions in collaboration with our suppliers and partners, to offer attractive services to our valuable tenants that will be located in the area. Of course, this will be supported by a very unique end-to-end ecosystem. And finally, it will be a one-stop shop that will provide an ease of doing business and attract top talents within that area. The Digital Hub, as I've mentioned, will be supported by Aramco to boost the industry transformation. It'll bring together corporations, institutions, startups, and investors, and many others to foster creativity and explore sustainable transformation in the energy sector. Spark includes, we've allocated a digital hub that will drive the IR 4.0 manufacturing and services to accelerate innovation. And that's about 800,000 square meters that's been set aside, and we're attracting manufacturers and service providers into that hub. The strategically located in the Digital Hub will be the digital center, which we're talking about today, and it'll bring together a large ecosystem of companies and institutions, startups and investors to foster and explore sustainable transformation. Next slide, please. So what you see in front of you in the middle is the map of Spark. The Digital Hub is shown in green, and the digital center will be located at close proximity to this manufacturing area within the commercial areas of Spark. The digital center will be located almost in the middle of Spark, and this unique setup will allow for digital center tenants to have easy access to the Digital Hub manufacturers, but also other sectors and industries that have set up in Spark. And more details on the ecosystem will be provided by Adrian in the next segment. And as Jérôme mentioned, we expect the digital center to be open by 2025. But in the meantime, we will be active in other events and activities. And thank you again for your participation. It was a pleasure being here with you today. Gabriel, back to you. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Wahil. We'll now move to our second corporate testimonial with Adrian Bird, Global Client and Account Lead at Accenture. Hi, Adrian.
Hi, Gabriel. Thank you very much, everyone, for the opportunity to present today. Yes, I'm based here in Saudi Arabia. So if we could move to the next slide. So we've used as our inspiration for the digital centre many other examples from around the world. So as an example, as Gabriel mentioned, Impulse Partners brings together many startup companies at Station F in Paris, which is one of the largest innovation centres in Europe. We've got Greentown Labs there in Boston, concentrating on clean tech. Mars in Toronto, Canada, on high-tech impact companies, and then Accenture's Garching Labs, which is one of the largest examples of shop floor innovation in Europe. So if we could move to the next slide. So the whole purpose of the digital centre is all about driving business outcomes for manufacturing companies, energy companies, and around sustainability, and using digitization as a means, or one of the means of driving business outcomes. And so here you can see in purple many examples, and if I just pick one down in the bottom right hand corner, how could we use AI, artificial intelligence, to improve asset management, to maintain uptime, and drive more value for the business. And then underneath that, we've got many different types of technology, IR 4.0 technologies such as clouds, AI, others such as robotics, that we can use. And how can we bring together an ecosystem of partners that can contribute great ideas, and equally hear from the business the challenges that the business and opportunities the business would like to solve. So if we go to the next slide, please. So the Corporate Partners Programme is an opportunity for various multinational companies to come and a corporate programme within the digital centre. Many of these companies already have startup and venture funds in other countries, and are well versed in doing this. But the invitation is to come and be part of what is perhaps the centre of the energy industry in the Middle East, and with many key companies in that region, including, of course, Aramco. So the companies get a chance to build capabilities to address challenges that are both global and regional, and showcase their skills in Saudi Arabia. The company, the corporate sponsor, gets entire freedom how they manage their own startup program. They will choose a theme, so they may choose a theme over on the right. They may choose more of a technology-driven theme and sponsor an artificial intelligence program, or they may sponsor a program around AR, VR, and the metaverse. Equally, they could choose a program that is more business-matic. So maybe they could choose a program that is all around startups, organised around sustainability. The Spark Digital Centre will provide a complete plug-and-play infrastructure. So all of the building services will be there, and if you like, as a sponsor and a startup, you just need to turn up with your PC and start creating, innovating, collaborating. And then in addition, expertise of Impulse Partners and Accenture's experience as well in innovation centres. We will, if you like, animate the ecosystem in terms of organising pitch days, webinars such as this, and I'll talk in a little bit more on the next in terms of bringing in other venture capitalists and also the government. So maybe if we go to the next slide. So here you can see the ecosystem we're trying to create. So up in the top left-hand corner, very keen to bring in Saudi government ministries, share their national strategy, share their business challenges. So for instance, Saudi Arabia has got an ambition to be 50% of its power generated from renewables by 2030. How can companies and how can startups help contribute towards doing that? It's also to attract investment from both ministries and from corporate ventures, and we'll hear from Ziad later Aramco's contribution in that area. Over on the right-hand side, all about attracting major energy, utility and chemicals companies and manufacturing companies. The companies, if you like, again, will share some of their business requirements, maybe their IR 4.0 project pipelines and corporate sponsoring. And then in terms of Spark Digital Centre, it's a forum for us to offer, and this is all of the corporate partners and the startups, offer services such as innovation workshops, consulting services, factory to build some of these applications at scale, provide training and certification. And then down at the bottom, you can see we want to be very well connected for innovation hubs, both inside the kingdom and globally. Again, repeating myself, opportunity to bring in venture capital firms, bring in legal advisors and recruitment to help the startups scale. So if we go to the next slide. And all of this will be part of a global network, both Impulse Partners and Accenture, bringing our other, in Accenture's case, 30 plus innovation centres and networking and really full power of the ecosystem. So thank you very much and happy to take questions later.
Thank you, Adrian. I think you might have already answered the question, but if you'd like to add anything, Mohamed asked in the chat, what are the vertical on which Spark will be focused on?
So the verticals will be the energy industry and manufacturing, and coupled with that, I guess, the sustainability, how to make that sustainable. And then within that, applying our IR 4.0 technologies to those two main industry verticals.
And the second question is, what will be part of XR and Edge AI on Spark activities?
Sorry, could you repeat the question again, Gabriel?
I think that's a bit of a specific question that's being asked, but the question is, what will be the part of XR and Edge AI on Spark activities? So I think we're referring maybe to extended reality and AI. Okay,
so AI for sure will definitely be included, and then I think again we're looking for a corporate sponsor who wants to lead the whole XR VR metaverse. So I think we'll see later how that transpires.
Sure. Well, thank you, Adrian. Appreciate it. I think we'll move to our next speaker. We have Laurent Pagnon with us today, SVP Subsea Product Marketing and Strategy at TechipFMC. Hello, Laurent.
Thank you, Gabriel. Thank you, Impulse, and thank you for the Spark Digital Center for hosting this event. This is my new role, but previously I was in charge of digital and startup investment at TechipFMC, so very, very relevant for the discussion today. If you could move to the next slide, please. I'm going to be quick today. I'll share overall what is TechipFMC digital vision. I think it's truly relevant for the Spark Digital Center. Second, I'll spend a couple of minutes on concrete offering we are developing on digital. And last, talk a little bit about why Spark is important in the global innovation ecosystem. So TechipFMC vision essentially around digital, it's really about a performance leap. Our industry needs and deserves to have a clear performance leap in order to remain competitive, in order to be sustainable. We know that there is a need to improve performance, and that's where digital comes to play. So at TechipFMC, our value proposition essentially is to go beyond, the traditional products, hardware, services, and projects by fusing and augmenting this energy domain knowledge and our core offering with digital. So what we want to do is to actually integrate digital and software into our offerings to bring this performance leap. So we want to become hybrid. We don't want to be anymore just, selling hardware, selling services, or executing projects. We want to be hybrid. And Our ambition, as you understood, is not to become, a pure software or digital company. This is not where we bring value to our customers. Where we bring value is really by bridging these two domain knowledge, digital on one end and energy on the other end. And TechipFMC, is one of the very few companies who is capable of combining these two worlds. So in a nutshell, tomorrow we want to become hybrid and bring a performance leap that is required in our industry. If you could move to the next one, I'd like to illustrate concretely what does that mean. I'm going to show you high production and emission. These are, I would say, two integrated solutions we have developed and that we are starting to market. And it's really about fully integrating digital and software into production facilities. Here, what you could see essentially on the screen is that you have a streamlined, much smaller, I would say, footprint facility and more efficient. And that is the concept of high production. We've tried essentially to digitalize a production facility, the well pad processing, the gathering lines and everything under a single digital twin interface connected to the cloud to enable remote operations. So not only we have, I would say, reduced the footprint by having new technologies and materials, but we have as well proposed this fully digital twin experience for a production facility. What we do, and that was something mentioned, is that we have edge control. We have a certain number of sensors and control that give us visibility on key processing parameters that are live in our digital twin that we can optimize. So if we look at emission, it's a particular offering we propose. It's essentially, you can retrofit emission on existing facilities. We capture wireless pressure and temperature transmitters that are installed at key equilibrium points in your processing facilities. And through our control panel, we perform calculation at the edge, transmit results, and you can fully visualize and quantify your emissions. And the goal is to optimize processing parameters to reduce flaring, reduce venting, and at the end, produce more. So here we have already deployed that now with different customers with really good success. And that's an example on how we integrate digital technologies into a production facility to make it more efficient, save CO2 and improve carbon footprint. So overall, what we have started to, in terms of results, we know that we are targeting, and we have now good proof of that we can target a 50% reduction of greenhouse gas emissions compared to a traditional production facilities, thanks to deploying high production and emission together. So it is ambitious, but there is clear gain that what digital and software can bring to our industry. And that's a concrete illustration of TechipFMC value proposition in digital. And last, I just wanted to conclude on Spark Digital Center and why it is important and why it is interesting. Here, we all know that to drive innovation, to drive business transformation, you need to have a robust ecosystem of innovating companies, from startups to large corporate. But it has to be local. I think what we realized at TechipFMC already some time ago is it has to be local. There is no worldwide or global incubator. It's not going to be taking a recipe that is maybe working in Asia or in the US, might work in Middle East. No, it will not fly. So innovation is born and driven locally. We need to understand the local business context, the local challenges, and define a value proposition that is relevant and making sense on this market. Too often, I've talked with so many startups over the last 3 years, but too often startups believe they have a magical recipe that can be applied everywhere. But most of the time it is not true. And especially in a big B2B ecosystem like energy is. So opening a digital center like Spark, in my mind, is absolutely essential to drive further innovation in Saudi Arabia and globally in Middle East. It is an opportunity to enlarge the innovation pipeline in this region. So I'm really, really hopeful that such a center can help accelerate the pace of innovation and transformation of the region. That's my belief. Thank you, Gabriel.
Thank you, Laurent, for this presentation. Moving now to the startup presentation part of this webinar. We're glad to be joined by Amandine Pelletier, Marketing Manager at Distran. Hello, Amandine.
Hi, Gabriel. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. Can you hear me properly?
Yes. Thank you. Thanks to you for being here today. The floor is yours.
Yeah, good. Thank you very much. So I will let you know when I need to change the slides. Then I will do the same as my colleagues. Then I don't have to share the screen. Up. So let's go. So my name is Amandine Pelletier, and at Distran, we manufacture and sell ultrasound cameras that are able to pinpoint gas leaks from a distance. So let's talk about inspecting for gas leaks within industrial facilities. So next slide, please. So finding leaks is a hassle, and it takes the times of thousands of people around the globe every day. What we can notice is that the results are often dependent on the operator's expertise on leading inspection and also their expertise on using a set of specific tools. Next slide, please. In the past few years, we've seen an acceleration in terms of regulations to follow regarding leak inspection on industrial facilities. The fugitive emissions from industrial activities are regulated by new programs, such as the one called LDAR, which is leak detection and repair. This implies to identify, locate, monitor, repair, and trace all gas leaks on oil and gas or chemicals facilities, for instance. Next slide, please. Thanks. So indeed, gas leaks are challenging as they can lead to dramatic situations, as the one highlighted here. This is the example of a hydrogen leak that remained non-detected, as well by the fixed sensor surrounding the area and the inspection with the sniffers. Industrial works with a wide variety of gases under pressure. That's why any leak can negatively impact different things, such as the energy efficiency and the overall plant reliability, the environment, of course, and also the leaks can pose a real threat to the safety of the operator on the field. The traditional methods that are deployed nowadays hardly provide the exact location of the leak. These methods require either to enter in contact with the gas, which increases the risk of non-detection and the threat to safety. Or these methods require a high expertise of the device to perform reliable inspection and also to be able to interpret the results. And all this hinders the action in emergency situation. Next slide, please. So fortunately, an innovative technology can help industrial to tackle these challenges. When a leak occurs, a hissing noise is produced. Oftentimes on industrial facilities, there is a lot of surrounding noises. Therefore, the human ear cannot hear the hissing sound that we all know that the leak is making. So if you can just click once, Gabriel, please. Thanks. But the gas leaks also emit ultrasound that the human ear cannot detect. But these ultrasounds will propagate towards our sensor. If you can click once more. And this sensor is here, so I have it just here in my hand. So this sensor is able to triangulate the origin of the ultrasound, which represent the origin of the leak. So as you can see here, UltraPro is a handheld sensor, not very heavy, 1.5 kilograms. So it combines an optical imaging that you can see here. This is like a regular optical camera, and an array of microphone. What you can see all the black dots here on the front plate. And these are microphones that detect ultrasounds. If we can go to the next slide, please, thanks. So this is an example of what an operator will see on the device screen, because on the device there is a screen on the back, in real time in the event of a leak. Gabriel, if you can please click once. In the center of this video, you can clearly distinguish the indication of a leak. And within the yellow square at the bottom, you will see the leak rate quantification calculated in real time by the camera. With this immediate method, the tripod to stabilize the image to gather the information is not required. So it's very immediate and you don't have anything to do. Everything is calculated by itself. The leak rate appears in liters per hour of other imperial units. And this allows to immediately and easily assess the leak, the severity of the leak. So as you have seen here, our camera are able to overlay the acoustic information onto the optical image, which confers a really clear visualization and immediate visualization. So of course, clear insights. Our camera Ultra Pro enable industrial to conduct repairs at an early stage before the leaks become too dangerous, before it can impact the overall plant efficiency further. It also supports a drastic reduction of losses in terms of utility and of course cost, but more importantly, it prevents incidents. Gabriel, if you can click to go further, and maybe you can click, yeah, perfect, don't move. So this is another example. This is a methane leak. And you can see this was detected from a distance, and as we approach, we can clearly distinguish the elements leaking. We can detect with our camera leaks up to 50 meters or 100 meters for the biggest ones. Because the camera does not detect the gas itself, but the ultrasound emitted by a leak, we can detect any type of gas. So for instance, all the hydrocarbons, hydrogen, noble gases, compressed air, steam, vacuum leaks, and so on. Also, the reporting capabilities of the device enable the user to generate inspection reports in a few clicks. These reports embed pictures, videos, just as the one I showed you, and voice notes recording during the inspection. Additional comment can be added, and then you can share the report to coordinate the maintenance. Then if you can move to the next slide, please. So in short, and to come back to the LDAR program that I mentioned in opening, we support industrial in increasing the quality of their surveillance in line with the latest requirements. Click, please, thanks. Our camera detects and locates leaks of any gas types, even the small ones, in a faster and safer manner. It quantifies the leak rates in real time to classify leaks immediately and monitor them over time. And it offers digital reporting to coordinate repairs and ensure traceability of findings. And we arrive to the next slide, the latest one. So since our inception, we work with oil and gas, chemical and power generation sector. Additionally, we work with the aerospace sector, such as the NASA, and we equip the International Space Station since 2020. Our cameras are currently deployed by industrial leaders in more than 35 countries. Our clients particularly vouch the use of our device for its capabilities to pinpoint leaks easily and quickly. The ability to classify leaks. Oh, sorry, I'm in a meeting. Sorry, Peter. Sorry, there's too many people in our office. So the ability to classify leaks and coordinate their maintenance operation is really key for our clients. They can also reduce the negative impact on the environment and their output, of course, as well as increasing their safety standards further. So I thank you for your attention, and I invite you to pursue the conversation by asking questions now or by contacting us, of course. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amandine. If anyone has any question for startups today, do not hesitate to put them in the chat, and I will come back to them at the end. The second startup presenting is Skypull. We have Aldo Catano, co-founder and CTO. Hi, Aldo.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Gabriel. Thanks to Impulse Partner for the invitation. And I will start sharing my presentation, correct?
Yeah. Do you want us to do the slides for you? Do you prefer? Oh. Okay, you can go ahead. Yeah, you got this.
Okay, so we are a startup developing energy from high altitude winds. That means that we use a drone to go up in the sky, and there it becomes a drone, becomes a glider, and is connected to a tether, and that is making energy, but we'll explain a bit later. I am CTO of Skypull with 25 years of experience in R&D in design of airplane, wind turbine, and inventor of 5 different international patents. Now, our mission is accelerate the energy transition to renewables, as now we have only 20% of renewables to produce electricity, and we have to reach soon 80%. Is also not to increase the temperature over 2 degrees Celsius. Now, as an example, is you can see here Europe. There is a map of wind speed over Europe at 100 meters altitude and 500 meter altitude. So 100 meter altitude, why? Altitude from the ground. this is the altitude where normally wind turbines operate. So as you see, all the blue color is not useful for power production. If you go to 500 meters where our system is operating, almost everywhere in Europe except Milan is going to be useful to the installation of wind turbines. Now, another example is, okay, I was taking a Spark project as an example. So if you see here at 100 meters altitude, you have a certain wind speed that is already not bad, but it's much better if you look at 200 meters. Why 200 meters? Because the Global Wind Atlas only tell you maximum these altitudes and not still the altitude where our system are operating. But there is really a huge difference in possibility of power extraction from the wind between 100 and already 200 meters. Now, our solution, how it works. So we have this drone for takeoff and landing, and then when flying, the propeller are switching off, and we are starting producing energy because we are connected with a cable. The cable is connected to a drum at the ground, and with all the traction that is given with this glider thanks to wind, the drum is starting rotating, spinning, and the spinning is a bit braked, like an electrical car when you are going downhill and then you are recharging batteries. The same is done here. As soon as you are really far from the ground station, so really high, the cable is finished, you start the operation of flying back. That is like a retraction phase where we almost no consumption, because anyway, the flying device is a glider, is flying back to the ground station. And then we'll start a new cycles. Now, value proposition versus traditional wind is that LCOE, levelized cost of energy, is 50% less, mainly because we have double power production, and also because we have 90% less material towards the standard wind turbine. Why? We have no tower, no big basement, and only the last part of the tip of the blade is like our drone that is rotating quite fast. Now, why the deployability? Because it's much more compact relative to a standard wind turbine, and so easy logistics. So also for transportation, but also if we want something movable, mainly used for mining. For example, we have LOI with a company in Dubai that is giving electricity, renewable energy, and also at the moment diesel genset to mining companies in Oman. So we have less component, and then we think that we can reach LCOE of $38 per megawatt hour as soon as we reach the megawatt power system. So at the moment we are working with much smaller system because we are still in development. Now with the 100 kilowatt system we will be movable, and at the moment we can show our test site on top of a mountain of 1,500 meters in Switzerland, where we have a 5 kilowatt system working, and now soon we are going to get a 10 kilowatt machine working. But we want to go straight ahead with 100 kilowatt and then to the megawatt. Now, another possibility is a 200 kilowatt can be installed on a standard wind turbine. And how it works, it will work with the downwind. So the turbine normally is upwind and we are flying downwind so that we will not have any problems with the standard wind turbine working. Now, it's really interesting the territorial energy density so that we can put much more system in a small area. For sure, in Saudi Arabia, you have a lot of space. But anyway, if you want to be sustainable, so any space that we are take out from the nature, and it will be a problem. So the energy power production per kilowatt per square meter is much higher than the other system. Okay, yeah. So our major achievement are we did the proof of concept in 2019, a technical demonstration in 2020. Then we designed, constructed, and tested more than 20 drones. We implemented that now everything is autonomous flight control system. So from takeoff to landing, everything is autonomous. We have positive energy generation during our multi-cycle flights. We have on board regenerators, so the propellers that are used for takeoff and landing are used during flight for charging the batteries that are on board, because the cable is not passing electricity. And for this reason, we can stay in the air until there is wind. And we have the flight authorization obtained by the Civil Aviation Authority of Switzerland for 3 different sites. So thank you very much, and open to question after. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Aldo. We've arrived to the last part of today's Impulse Talks. We're glad to be joined by Ziad, Investment Manager at the Wahed Saudi Aramco Entrepreneurship Center. Hi, Ziad.
Hi, Gabriel. Thank you for the intro, and appreciate everyone in the audience joining the call. So on the note of startups and innovation, I'm happy to share an overview of our VC fund, which is known as Saudi Aramco Entrepreneurship Ventures. It's also referred to here as Wide Ventures, and it is one of the VCs under Aramco. And it is also one of the VCs that is connected to the Spark Digital Center. Next slide, please. So actually, the Entrepreneurship Fund is part of a larger area within Aramco, which is known as the National Champions Initiative. The initiative was established to be at the forefront of Saudi Aramco's growing support for the national economy. Our overall vision is to be a world-class cluster of innovation that drives business, job creation, and national economic growth. In the beginning, on the left-hand side, we have Lab 7, which was actually inaugurated earlier this month. It's a state-of-art advanced innovation center. It is in charge basically of the early stage ideation and product development. And its mission is to basically convert game-changing ideas into investable startups. In the next stage, under the seed to late stage, is the Entrepreneurship Fund. This is where I work currently, and it plays a significant role in the kingdom's entrepreneurial landscape. Our mission is to convert startups into small and medium enterprises through VC investment, business acceleration, and support to entrepreneurs. After that comes the growth stage, which we have a program known as Leap 10. It is in charge of the small and medium enterprise sustainability and scale up by providing growth acceleration services to these SMEs. And at the end, this is the phase for large corporations where significant investments are managed by our flagship industrial investments program, which we call NAMAAT. This is where we convert established corporations into national major business players within the kingdom or the region. And we do this through either direct investment, localization support, or even JV alliances between Aramco or other corporations within the kingdom. In the following slides, I'm going to dive into the VC fund. This is the area that I work in, highlighted in the red line. So next slide, please. In terms of objective and mission, our strategic objectives include amplifying support for the SME ecosystem. We do this through various ways. One of the ways is we encourage innovators or even students at universities to really go out there and try to take a leap of chance and try to develop their innovation into a startup that's, disrupting, whether it's specific industries or sectors within the kingdom or the region. Another way we do it, we encourage investors to invest in startups and innovation and try to diversify that investment pool. We also work very closely with regulators to ensure that the regulations regionally here are intact and in line with both the regulations that startups need, as well as innovations and regulations that startup investors need at the same time. We strive to become the top VC fund in the MENA region, and we want to be the partner of choice for founders. Next slide, please. Currently, our fund is the largest and most active institutional VC investor, which is dedicated to Saudi-based startups. We have over $200 million allocated, and we're investing in innovative and impactful early-stage startups with high growth potential. We have a thesis with every investment, but in every investment, in every case that we did, we typically wear two hats. We wear the hat of your traditional, VC investor, so we're looking at returns as a financial investor. But more importantly, with every investment we make, we put on our economic development hat and we look at opportunities that help promote economic development. Or even development when it comes to the social space or environmental space at the same time. There's 5 strategic and emerging growth sectors for Saudi Aramco at the moment. And these include digital ventures, startups that are associated with sustainability, social types of startups, and we look at social in various elements. So these include fintech, health tech, and even educational technology types of companies. And also we're looking at innovation in the industrial and manufacturing sectors. Here's a bit of an overview of our mandate as a fund. Again, we're looking for VC-like investments, so our focus is on companies with a very unique and strong technology angle, and also has a high growth potential, which we can make returns on and create impact in that sector that that company is trying to disrupt. Geographically, we have been initially set up as a fund that's focused on Saudi. We have expanded that mandate over the last few months, actually. And currently, we can also look at international companies that are looking to grow into Saudi Arabia. And when it comes to sectors, we've tried very hard to keep the sectors very broad. As we're just naturally very sector agnostic as an investment team. We're prioritizing opportunities based on the synergies that we can unlock, whether it's through synergies between the investee company and Saudi Aramco, or even synergies with other portfolio companies that we've invested in. In terms of gunpowder or ticket size, we recently increased our ticket size to $20 million. Previously it was $5 million, and we invest in anywhere between $500,000 to $20 million per company. And the stage investment that we target is typically anywhere between what we refer to as the seed stage all the way to Series C stage financing. In terms of ownership, we don't want to take any controlling role in any company that we invest in. We try to take more of an influential and supportive role. We want to be active, so sometimes we do provide, advice or support via the board, depending on the company and its stage and what makes the most sense. Shareholding and incorporation is more of a legal aspect of how some deals are structured. Each deal is structured on a case-by-case basis, and we look for what makes the most sense for all the shareholders. In terms of engagement, this is an area that is of high importance to us. We don't want to just add capital to each investee company. We're looking to provide additional services, whether it's through venture growth, market access, governance, or even ecosystem engagement with other potential clients that the company might need to interact with, or even regulatory bodies that can improve the regulatory landscape in which each startup is incorporating in. Finally, in terms of exit strategy, with each investment we make, we do have an exit strategy in mind. And this is basically, we're set up as an evergreen type of fund. So with each exit, we'd like to recycle that and invest in other startups that are in an earlier stage. Next, please. Okay, here's some of the companies we invested in over the years. We've touched upon many sectors, and we've seen a significant development of just startups in the whole ecosystem here in the region. I remember when I first joined the fund back in early 2014, the whole entrepreneurial ecosystem was pretty much in its nascency, and to see it develop to where it is right now has been quite remarkable. We've delved into so many different sectors, from health and wellness to AI types of companies to sustainability companies. I mean, again, the message here is, in practice, we're sector agnostic, but in soul, we're looking for impact. And the way that we define impact, it can be either through economic development, so by diversifying or growing the economy, or by social impact, by making people's everyday lives better. And last but not least, we're also looking at impact via environmental solutions, which can help make the world a better place for future generations. This concludes my presentation, so thank you all for joining, and handing it back to you, Gabriel.
Thank you. So we're we're wrapping up today's session. Just for a reminder, today's webinar aimed at launching our new initiative dedicated to energy players. As we're running out of time, if you have any question about this project or interested in joining the initiative, you can reach out to my email in the chat. I've seen just an additional question, but as we running out of time, we've noted the question and we'll get back to you through email. So this concludes today's Impulse Talks. I hope you enjoyed and appreciated this webinar. I think it's always interesting to have a diverse vision of the industry through the lens of startups, corporate investors, which is really at the core of what we do at Impulse. So thanks to everyone involved. So these Impulse Talks are held every 2 months, targeted different topics. Our next one is focused on smart cities. So if you're interested, we can also send you an invitation for those as well. So we continuously look for feedback to improve these sessions. So if you have any questions or comments, you can use this QR code to share your thoughts. So we thank you again for being here today, and we hope to see you again soon.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.